Good morning, students, and Jai Hind. Today we are going to now start the next topic about the political changes which occurred and that emerged in the European state system or in the European countries. Understand? And that one of the great emergence or the big emergence and the political changes which happened or accordingly or in the parallel of the social changes which we have seen that how the social changes happened, understand, and the social unrest began, and again the relations between the feudal lords and the peasants now began to be deteriorated, or the previous defined social system, understand, that was completely denied by the peasants, understand, or now a new system that was the rather a system of the free society, understand, began to be emerged in the European society, understand. And one hand we are, in other hand we are, we have to be see that how the political system, I have already taught you in the feudalism, in the feudal system of the society, what happened in the feudal system of the society. Now we know that the power was divided, understand, between the two sets. One, at the top the king was the head of the king was now king was the central power, understand, or the other feudal lords they were subordinate of the kings, they expressed their allegiance to the king, understand, or and as well as the king assigned the tract of the land to the feudal lords, and these feudal lords used to maintain their small contingents or the brigands by the horses, or by the peasants were also used as the used as a soldiers, understand. And whenever the king required the army, and whenever the king was on the battle or against the battle of the other kings, so now at that point of the time these all lords had to be had to assist the king, or had to stand by the king in the battlefield along with their small brigands and the army and the, understand, or the soldiers, understand. But this system was prevalent, and the king, you see that now the king's authority was now divided. The king's authority was now subdivided amongst these lords, big lords. Then after sub lords, they were subletting their estates to their vassals and their lower lords, understand, subordinate lords. So in this way we see that this system was the prevalent. But on the other hand, what happened, we see that a social, as economic changes happened, understand, economic changes happened, the strain came, so the lords tried to re-establish or revive the old system. The lords tried to revive their old system, but what happened? But these peasants, or the particularly the educated peasants or the prosperous peasants or the farmers, were not in favor of the accepting those previous rules and the previous system, understand. So they revolted. Many of the peasants revolts occurred in the different parts of the Europe, understand. Now students, under this process, or in the course of under this process, a parallel process in the spheres of the politics also went on, and in the 15th or 16th century, now one thing is that European kings strengthened their military and the financial power. One thing is that these European kings now decided not to be dependent on the feudal lords for their military strength. They started maintaining their own permanent or their standing army with them, understand. First thing, and now they were not desirous of depending on the feudal lords army. No, they now begin to maintain their own vast standing army. First thing, they now left now dependency upon these feudal lords. Next thing is the next process was that students, the financial power. These kings of the different states of the Europe, they further they tried and they started the raising their own financial strength. Understand, by the imposing the more and more tax upon the common man. Understand, or they were now they left it depending upon the feudal lords. They now eased the dependence on the feudal lords. Understand? In these circumstances, these European kings now begin to be the stronger. The kings now try to be the stronger. So under these circumstances, and the powerful new states they created were significant for Europe, and as well as these kings of the France, Spain, or kings of the king of the England, they now begin to they strengthened their power, and this had the much significance for Europe as economic changes that were occurring, or under these economic changes which were going on and which were occurring that in this juncture, at this juncture, this political strength and the prosperous of the political power and the political strength was the much remarkable. And moreover, historians have therefore called these kings the new monarchs, as these kings began to make or be started to strengthen their power, began the strengthening their army, began to raise their own financial strength by the imposing the tax. So the most of the historians now they said, and the term them as a they term them as a new monarchs in the different forms, and moreover, as of now, for example, we can say the Louis XI in France, or the Maximilian in Austria, and moreover the Henry VII in England, and Isabella and Ferdinand in the Spain, where the absolutist ruler. Now they tried to center the entire power in their hands, whether the judicial power, legislative power, or the executive power. They tried to now keep all the powers. Now they left it, the decentralization of power. Understand, trend of the decentralization of power. They started the gathering the powers around them by the military powers, financial strength. Now started or these or so that's where they begin to be the called as the absolutes and rulers who started the process of organizing a standing army. I have already mentioned, my dear students, that they started maintaining the standing armies, because now they were not dependent on the army of the and the assistance of the feudal lords. Okay, and moreover, students, standing or a permanent bureaucracy, and as we know that another pillar of the administration or the pillar of the state is the bureaucracy. So they established a permanent bureaucracy that would now help in the conduction or in the enforcements of the law as smoothly, or in conduction of the state very smoothly. So a permanent bureaucracy they established, and a national taxation system too. Now they were not they didn't want the dependent to be dependent on the feudal lords for the income and the assistance. That's why they now established and set up a national taxation system by which they could maintain their huge bureaucratic expenses, and as the vast army, standing army they could maintain. Understand? So now this is that's why they now develop or they devised a new national taxation system for the making their financial strength of that, and moreover in the Spain or the Portugal began to play a role in the Europeans expansion overseas trade. On the other hand, we see that the first of all the Pope. Before that, no country was allowed and having the right to make the any overseas voyage for the any continent without the having permissions, seeking the permission of from the taking the permission from the Pope. Understand? The first time the Pope understand now provided the papal bull. Understand? The rights papal bull was given first time given or given to the Portuguese or the Spain. Understand? So this according to the papal bulls, understand, or the authority and the right to the having the voice. Understand? This according to that, the first time we know that the Portuguese, understand, or the Spanish, Christopher Columbus, understand, who now set out for the discovery of the new lands. And then on the other hand, the Portuguese from the Portugal, we know very well, the Vasco da Gama, he now set out for the for before him, the 10 years before him, Bartholomew Dias. He was the now on the set out for the finding out the routes for India, but he could not get the success. Understand? And the next day, after the 1 decade, the Vasco da Gama now followed his tracks, and then after he got the success to reaching at the India. Understand? So now here, the students, the papal bull was only given to the two states. Understand? And this now papal bull aroused the jealousy among these European, among the Dutch or the French or the British. Understand? This now aroused a strong resentment or even the challenge the authority of the Pope by the England or by the British or the Dutch. Now let's say that will be the further in your advanced study. Let's say students, we should now here the most important reason for the triumph of these monarchs was the social change. Now why these monarchs? Okay, now the breaking the centuries established feudal system, understand, and subordinate system. Now why they could get the success? How they could get how could they make the success? There was a reason behind that, the great social changes which had taken place in the 12th or 13th century. Because of these social changes which were occurring in the 12th and 13th century, the dissolution of the feudal system of the lords. Now one thing is that the lords feudal system was now dissoluting. Understand? It is the breaking up lord system, feudal lord system, and the lordship and the vassals, and the slow rate of the economic growth had given the first opportunity, and a lord system was breaking, vassal system was weakening. So because of that, the king and moreover the economy was very slow. Understand? So because of that, economic growth was the first of the king to increase their control over their powerful and the non-stop power. So then after the slow growth, slow economic growth now paved the way for the kings, makes the route for king to making making their dominance over the powerful and the non-powerful subjects. The king could now control very easily to these under this at the juncture of the broken economy to their subjects and their lords. Understand? The king now became very powerful under this condition, and moreover, the rulers they dispensed with the system of feudal levies. Now the rulers dispensed with the system of the feudal levies for their armies. Understand? Army, and they introduced the professionally trained infantry equipped with the guns. These rulers now started, and the professional army they began to, and their professional army were the well-trained army. They started imparting the training. These rulers began and started the training to their training. Started providing the training, imparting the training to their armies, and moreover, these armies were well equipped with the new gunpowders, guns, and the siege artilleries. Understand, the siege artilleries, gunpowder, and many of the tools, new sophisticated tools, equipped with the new sophisticated with these armies became the much more stronger than the feudal lords army, feudal lords contingents, small contingents. So as a result, under their control, so the resistance of the aristocracy and now the aristocracy means the feudal lords could not resist further against the king. Understand? And moreover, and crumbled in the face of the firepower of the king. So the king had devised the firepower, and he had now arranged the firepower. So the aristocracy or the lords were not in position to make the any resistance, to raise the any resistance or any protest against the king. So now the king through the gunpowder and powerful army became the very strong. Understand? Or the unchallenged. And these aristocrats or the feudal lords could not make the any kind of the protest against the king. So by increasing, so the kings now started the making his position more strong. How? By increasing the taxes. These monarchs got enough revenues to support. How the king became able to maintain this maintain the vast army because he imposed the taxes upon the common man and got and raised the much revenue and the large, and so this enabled and this supported the large army and thus defended and expanded their frontiers. In this way, now the king was able to defend his frontiers himself, not by the support of the lords, and moreover expanded their frontiers, or he could expand their own frontiers, overcame internal resistance. Now the king could now subdue the resistance raised by the internal forces or internal powers, and moreover and against the royal authority or the centralization, however, did not occur without the resistance from. And now one thing about that, this centralization of the power which came, the power came or the made the king's absolute power. This was not without, this happened not without the any without resistance. The king had to face many of the resistance. Understand, on behalf of on the quarter of the bureaucrats. Understand, and moreover, a common thread running through all types of opposition. A common thread running through the all types. The monarchs was the question of taxation. Here is a common thing was that the monarch was the a rebellion was going on against the monarch because monarch was raising the taxation system, raising the much taxes or the question of the taxation. In England, rebellion occurred. One thing was these kings were for their national army and for their central army and for the maintaining. Understand, the advance army. So they had to be they required the money, so they imposed the much more tax upon the common man or upon the other elements. So as a result, what happened? As a result, they had to be the face a common. The king had to face a common resistance. That was the that those resistance were the related with the related with the taxation system. Understand, which was the very torturous to the common man. Or for example, in England we can see the here the rebellions occurred and were put down in the 1497. The rebellions happened 1536, 1547, 1549, 1553. These all chain of the rebellions now occurred against the king in the or in France, even in France in against the Louis XI. Louis XI had to wage a long struggle against the dukes and the princes. Understand, the Louis XI had to be a long battle, and lesser nobles, now the lower nobles, often members of the local assembly, resisted this royal usurps usurpation of their powers. Understand? They were power usurpers. Understand? Usurps the power, they are snatch the power. Understand? So the power was a stage, the local power, the local political units power was snatched by the king, centralized by the king. So under that circumstances, the king had to be the face the resistance or resentment from the local bodies. Understand? And from the local power. So this was the happened in the France also. The religious wars in France in 16th century, religious war were in a part of a context between the royal privileges and the regional liberties. Understand? A religious war happened or started between the privilege of the royal privileges and the regional liberties. Understand? A war became a tussles started or the began between the kings and the local powers. Understand? This started. That was another thing. The nobility managed to tactical, and in the one thing was that the nobility or the aristocrats and the nobility now sought, understand, they sought and they discovered a new way of the coming or the compromising to the kings and coming into the power again. How they, a tactical shift they had taken in order to ensure their survival. In order to ensure their survival, they took a tactical shift. Understand? And the moreover, from being now opponents to the new regimes, they were did not express their opponents. Understand? To the new regimes, they wanted to be adjusted in the new structure, new administrative structure. So that's why they now express their positive attitudes towards the king. And the moreover, and under the quickly transform themselves into the loyalist, and then after in quickly these rebellion spreads, understand, tactically they shifted and they quickly, understand, expressed their loyalty to the king. They wanted to be the again adjusting and entering into the administrative services. And it is for this reason now that any पानी देना now plus now here the now from this it is for this reason that the royal absolutism has been the called the modified form of feudalism, and this again a new royal absolutism is also known and termed as the new kind of the feudalism, a modified form of the feudalism. Understand? And moreover, the precisely the same class of the people, or clearly the same class of the people who had been the rulers in the feudal system, they shifted in the new administrative structure of the king. Understand? Shifted into the, and the lords continue to dominate the political scene, and again these lords continue to dominate in the political scene, in the political arena, and they were given the permanent, one thing is that given the permanent positions in the administrative services. These lords now got and acquire a permanent services, in the new administrative system or the new administrative structures, and moreover, and in positions or the, but the new regimes were different in the some important way. But even then, the new regimes, and the structure was rather different. In a some way, it was quite different from the previous administrative structures and the significance. First of all, the king was no longer at the apex of the pyramid. Now the king was at the apex of the pyramid, at the top of the pyramid, where loyalty has been a matter of the personal dependence and the trust, where the loyalty was through the personal dependence and the trust. It gone away. Understand? At the in the feudal system, the king was at the top, understand, and all the feudal lords, understand, subordinate to the king, they express their personal loyalty and the trust to the king. This system now gone away, it was removed, and moreover he was now at the center of the elaborate courtier society. Now the king now form a elaborate courtier society, his own court, his own now court see now the form, and he the and a network of the patron client relationship, and now the a new uh, a patrons of a patron of client service, understand, was the form here relationship. All monarchs, weak or powerful, needed a cooperation of those. All monarchs now required the cooperation of those who command the authority. The entire kings wanted a cooperation from those who were the who now they who were the authority, understand, they wanted to seek their own cooperations, and moreover the monarchs, and moreover the patrons could be the given or the obtained the means of the money, and these patrons could be the given or the obtained by means of the money. Now they were paid in the money, I have to say it in the simple words. These patrons were given the money, not the assignment of the lands or like that. Therefore money became an important way in which, or this money became the important for the exchange and important for the way of the in which the non-aristocratic elements like the, and in which in this money system in which the non-aristocratic elements like the merchants, bankers could gain access to the court. So the bankers, merchants, they had the access to the court, and those the feudals lords, they had no access to the court, understand. So now the merchants and the non feudal elements became the dominant in the court and in the surrounding of the kings, because the money began to be the play the role in the exchange or the transaction system, in payment system, and in the collection system, understand. So that one thing was that here the we can see that understand this assignments of the land does not play the any role, and moreover students, the further the changes that which happened, all the monarchs here the money system became the more, and the bankers, they lent money to the king, and the king began to take the money, understand, acquire the money from the bankers or from the merchants, and they became the supplier of money to the king, who used to eat paid the wages of the soldiers, and the soldiers were being given their wages in the form of the money. So the kings had to make and had the alliance with the merchants and the bankers, and from there he acquired the money, and then after given away, these monies were given and salary were given in the form of the money. Moreover, now the rulers thus made a space for non-feudal elements. So the rulers made a space for non-feudal elements. Understand the new elements in the state system. The feudal lords, their loyalty that was not in the state system. Now the main powerful elements which played the vital role in the state system were the merchants and the bankers and the money, not the land, no the loyalty, no the understand, not the lords and the kings relations on the personal or the trust basis, understand. So a new kind of the structure developed in this feudal system. Moreover students, now the later history in the France and England, if you look at the history of the England and France, was to be shaped by these changes in the power structure, and the later history of the England and France okay shaped the administrative structure and social structure began to be the shaped on this new trend or the new patterns, and that in the long way which affected cast a deep impact for a complete change or the for the revolution. This no doubt revolutionized the French society or the British society, and now paved the way for the new changes in the on the European scenario. Understand, the students? Now here we you see that how the political system, how the king in the system became the stronger, became the more stronger, understand, or the more powerful, and how the other elements enter, new administrative structure was made, other elements, non-feudal elements were structured in the administration or in the power relations, economic system, understand. So now we can see that this kind of the system, understand, this kind of the new system emerged in a political system of the Europe. Okay, you can know, and the next period I shall a few things have to be discussed, then after I will try to mention our map work if the time will be the spare in the next, and otherwise you should be the concentrate the map work I will discuss in the class. Understand that you have to be the attend this to understand the what kind of the map, how the map questions will be the asked for the 5 marks we have to be the discussed. So the students, it's okay for the day. Thank you very much attending the class.